Matthew Berry here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Matthew?
I'm good, my friend. I'm very good. I'm basking in my glorious victory over many of the people in the Rich Eisen Show group. I crushed a lot of, including you.
You did. You did. My mistake was going Ant-Man over Trainwreck a few weeks ago. And that was the end of my campaign almost to win your entire league. I was fifth. I was top five in your entire almost 10,000 strong group of FantasyMovieLeague.com players for most of the year. And then that was the end of it for me, sadly, unfortunately.
Yeah, you were right there. You were right there. And, you bet against Amy Schumer. I don't know what you had against Amy Schumer.
I did.
love Amy
Nothing.
Schumer.
I love Amy Schumer, too. It was my people here in this town said, go Ant-Man. So, no, not to sound George Steinbrenner. My people told me Ant-Man, so I went Ant-Man. But again, what you do is you go to FantasyMovieLeague.com, and all of these films have a certain price tag associated with it, and you get 1,000 fake movie bucks to fill out your 8-screen Cineplex, and whoever has the most money based on box office by the end of the season wins. And you finished third in the Rich Eisen Show League, Matthew.
Yeah. How about them apples? Like almost 1,000. There were only 2 people better than me.
That's right.
I'm embarrassed by your listenership. They should be able to beat me. But it's a fun, goofy league, and we had a lot of fun with it. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's free to play. If you go to the site, as you said, and you search for the Rich Eisen Show group, you can join it with the password coconut.
Password coconuts. Join it. Glacier Cinema, whoever you are out there, will tweet it out too.
Here they are.
They win the plastic bag filled with Land of the Lost keychain/compasses handed to us by Will Ferrell on my birthday when he came in to wish me a happy birthday.
Yeah, there's about 10 in here.
Glacier Cinemas wins that. I don't know, Matthew, is that the greatest fantasy prize you've ever heard of, or what?
As Bum Phillips used to say, I don't know if it's the only one, but it doesn't take long to call the names. It's a very short list.
I love it.
Paraphrasing the old Bum.
Matthew Berry joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Where does Tom Brady now rank for fantasy drafters who may not have been fantasy drafting yet, like, say, myself? I have a fantasy draft next week. Where does Tom Brady now rank?
He's QB5 for me. He's the number 5 overall quarterback for me.
And why is that? What do you think?
You listen, and I think you can make an argument for him higher. Ultimately, starting with Week 5 of last year, remember they had that horrible Monday night game against Kansas City where they got blown out, and we were all like, oh, the Patriots are done. Is Brady done? Blah, blah, blah. And then they regrouped. They got their offensive line figured out. Gronk was finally healthy, 100%. And from Week 5 on, only Aaron Rodgers scored more fantasy points per game than Tom Brady, and only Aaron Rodgers in ESPN standard scoring. Brady was about 19 fantasy points a game, same as like Roethlisberger, Wilson, Andrew Luck. So he returns over 90%, basically 90% of his pass catchers from last year. Only Shane Vereen really is the only big loss in terms of people that catch balls for Brady, and that's a rarity. I mean, they seem to have a lot of turnover. So he gets the entire offense back. And you know what? This is sort of anecdotal, Rich, but my belief is that they are going to be in complete and total blank you mode. And they're going to, they'll be up 45-0 in the fourth quarter. It's 4th down. They're on their own 20, and they're throwing. That's what I think happens this year. I think they're going to try to set all sorts of records. I think they have something to prove, and I think they feel like they were treated wrongly, and they're going to take it out on the league. We've seen that before with the Spygate and everything like that. So big year coming from Mr. Brady.
I saw you had Rodgers, Luck, 1, 2, and then you got Russell Wilson, 3.
Yeah.
You're that high on Russell Wilson this year?
Well, it's not just the rushing. I think the rushing regresses some, but look, Jimmy Graham, the one area where Russell Wilson and the Seahawks have struggled, Super Bowl jokes aside, is red zone passing. That's been a real struggle for them. Now they add the guy that's got the most red zone touchdowns over the last 3 years. Just a phenomenal threat in the end zone. And Russell Wilson was the 3rd best quarterback in fantasy last year. So I think Tyler Lockett is a very interesting player. I think he adds a dynamic to that offense. And I believe that Jimmy Graham will bring Russell Wilson, whatever regression he has in his rushing will be made up for by the addition of Jimmy Graham.
ESPN senior fantasy analyst and the founder of FantasyMovieLeague.com, Matthew Berry, here with me on the Rich Eisen Show. Who is first overall? If there are people out there drafting and you got a first overall selection, I know a few people are just scratching their heads over it. Who would that be, Matthew?
For me, it's Adrian Peterson. And I think we talked about this the last time I was on the show. You can make an argument for any one of 5 guys, in my opinion. You can, if you want to take Le'Veon Bell, Jamal Charles, Marshawn Lynch, Eddie Lacy, any one of those guys at 1, no issue with it at all. And if you're in a PPR league, I think Antonio Brown is in the conversation as well. But for me, it's Adrian Peterson. Guy scored double-digit touchdowns every single year he's been in the league, other than last year, obviously. Norv Turner's offense, very fantasy-friendly to running backs, always has been. He got a career year out of Lamont Jordan in Oakland. Revived Ricky Williams. Obviously all the years with LaDainian Tomlinson in San Diego. But last year, Jerick McKinnon and Matt Asiata. Jerick McKinnon and Matt Asiata combined to be the 7th best running back in fantasy last year, behind a makeshift offensive line with a rookie quarterback that got thrown into it, with Kyle Rudolph banged up. And so I just feel like Adrian Peterson is going to get the ball in space in a big way. Norv loves to throw to his running backs. The 2 best seasons of Peterson's career are the 2 years that he's caught over 40 balls. He's easily going to catch 40 balls this year if he stays on the field. So for me, it's Peterson.
I've got an 8th overall selection in a Snake 10-team straight-up standard format scoring league, Matthew, and there's a lot of people who are probably just like me with a 7th or a 9th, maybe even a 10th pick. What is your philosophy on going with RB5, wide receiver 2 or 3 over a QB1 in a first round of a draft like that?
It's personal. Assuming standard scoring, to me, it's personal preference, and it's sort of best player available. You never know how a draft is going to sort of come out, right?
Sure.
So I don't. It's, to me, it's best player available. We did this study and we looked at all the championship teams on ESPN.com from last year that play there, and people had Jamal Charles, people had Eddie Lacy. There were a lot of people that went running back, wide receiver, right? There were a lot of people that went running back, because like Forte and Murray were on a lot of teams. And the way the drafts went out last year, you could have had those 2 guys. We had a lot of people. 16% had Jimmy Graham and Aaron Rodgers on their team, that those were their first 2 picks. So the point being is that there's many different ways to win, and you don't necessarily – I never like going into a draft where I'm saying, hey, I'm definitely taking a running back. I'm definitely going running back. I'm definitely waiting on a quarterback. I'm definitely – I'm in on Gronk, or I'm waiting on a tight end. Like, just let the draft come to you. I think at pick 8, I think you're probably looking at Gronk, Antonio Brown, DeMarco Murray maybe. I think those first 5 are usually the sort of the consensus. I think you should seriously consider C.J. Anderson or Jeremy Hill at that spot.
Really?
I think both guys have huge
over
years.
Luck? Like if Luck is sitting right there, Matthew?
If you're getting 4 points for a touchdown pass?
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, listen, I have no issue with Andrew Luck. In the first round, you're not going to lose your league because you have Andrew Luck on your team. Certainly that's not going to happen. I have Rodgers at 1, Luck at 2 among quarterbacks. I have them both as late second-rounders because the depth of the position is so deep, Rich, this year. And those 2 guys are great. Rodgers and Luck are a cut above everyone else. They're the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL and in fantasy, in my opinion. But we just talked about Russell Wilson and Manning and Brady. And by the way, I think Bradford has a monster. You've got Matt Ryan in a throw-first offense. You've got Tony Romo, obviously. Eli Manning and Ryan Tannehill. No one realizes this. Both guys were top 10 fantasy quarterbacks last year. I think they both have success. I think Teddy Bridgewater takes a step up this year as well. Carson Palmer is really interesting.
So going for a wide receiver, running back right there, and then waiting and being patient, maybe just rolling the dice with Bradford or somebody of that stature in round 3.
Between those guys and Ben Roethlisberger or a Matt Ryan, is not that many points. Listen, if I'm at the end of the second, early third round, and Luck or Rodgers still saying there, then it's too good a value for me to pass up.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm not doing a quarterback in the first round this year.
Okay.
No issue if you want to. Like I said, you're not going to lose because you have it, but that's just not the way I'm looking at it this year because the position is so deep.
Last question. I'm sure you've heard all sorts of crazy fantasy leagues. What about a 14-team league where they travel, regardless of geographic location of where you're physically being, to the Super Bowl championship city, sit in a hotel room and draft a snake draft where there is no time limit on how long you get to select the player? Matthew, what do you think of a league like that?
I would hope that I really like the other 13 people in that league.
What if you've called them idiots on a national radio and television show an hour ago? What about that, Matthew? If you're, say, Chris Brockman, Matthew.
Wow. You know what? Probably wouldn't be a league I would want to be in, but then again, there's many things that Brockman does that are not for me.
Okay, I like it.
So I think that that sounds about right. That's a crazy one. I mean, I love the idea of all of them traveling to to one city. I've heard a bunch of different ones where the winner gets to choose where they go, or they vote on a different city every year.
Yep.
And I love that idea. Where people just every year they go to Vegas or they go to Miami or a destination city. I love that. So I like that. But the no time limit thing would drive me crazy.
Where are you going to be 15 minutes before kickoff Thursday night, Matthew? Will you be around your phone and available for a certain somebody to pick your brain in real time? You will
of course.
Be? Very good.
Always.
Very good. Be sure you're in a good area with quality reception on your cell phone, sir. That's all I ask.
Always, always, always.
You're the man. Thanks for calling in, Matthew. FantasyMovieLeague.com. We're going to send everybody there to join our league. Password Coconuts.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.